Good evening, everyone. It is Jovi. I can't see you if I turn around. You gotta be in the light. I got my helpers Zoe and Liam. It's in the shadow over there. We're going to start putting up some Christmas lights. It is what day is it? It's Friday, and it is the 18th. I'm going to tackle this project here. My wreath. I'm trying to fluff it as much as possible. And I got all new lights. I got 50 count lights. I'm going to go put it on this. 8 channels. Basically, we're going to divide this into, well, 8s, but starting straight up here, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5, 6, 7, 8, just like last year. But I decided to get new lights this year because I had a lot of problems last year with the lights going out. So that's my first project, get that done, and then I'm probably going to get the red lights out and finish wrapping the tower sections around the driveway. I do have to, I'm kind of procrastinating, but gotta get up on the roof and get the checkerboard done, but probably won't be tonight, probably Monday before I get down to that, because I got the day off. But anyway, let's get started. Alright, well that only took like 5 minutes, but not really, a little bit longer, but that's it. Now, I personally absolutely hate putting lights in Christmas trees, garland, wreaths like this, anything fake. I don't like, having to spread it out and make it look full. It's just so tedious and aggravating to me. But if you look closely, all I did, and 50 lights for, let's see, there's 400 lights on this thing right now. It's a lot of lights for this wreath. It's actually overkill. But because I'm doing 8 channels, it's what needs to be done. So you see, I just went back and forth like this in quarters, or in 8s actually, to make it so it's a little full. And up close it looks like a lot of lights, but from a distance it just, it looks good. So that's the key, from a distance. The tricky part about the wreath is I need 8 extension cords just to power this thing, and because I have 8 channels. And where it sits now, I'm either going to have 8 extension cords up and over at the top, or I'm going to have 8 extension cords coming down at the bottom, which would be ugly. So I'm trying to figure out what the best course of action here is. And I'm thinking about bringing it down and maybe putting something in front of it, like a sign or something. It's definitely to make a sign. But even if I don't do that, maybe I can get a big piece of PVC, white, cut it in half, or get the 8 extension cords to go down in the middle of it. So because the house is fairly white, I don't know if it's actually white, but it's a light color, it'll be hidden. It won't look as bad, especially during the show. And I don't like, I've had my fair share of years where the house looks ugly in the daytime. It looks nice at night, but it looks ugly in the daytime with all the extension cords running everywhere and everything. So I'm trying to make my house look nice even in the daytime. So I gotta figure out something to hide those extension cords for this guy. Alright, well, got the red 4 straps just like the white on both tower sections. Really the spacing here just depends on how tall and how big around the pillar is, whether it's a tree or a pillar, or in this case a tower section. But you could see, the clear cords and the red cords weren't the same size because they're not brand new and they're not the same manufacturer. So the spacing was a little different on both. And once I get it all lit up, if I feel like one of them is a little thinner than the other, or thinner than I want it to be, then I can take it off and restring it or put more lights on. So that's done. I gotta figure out what I'm going to do up here with the garland. Now the garland itself has lights in it, but the lights that are there are battery operated, and there's no way I'm going to keep that battery operated. So I've got some ideas of what I might want to put up there, but haven't made that final decision yet. So let's see what else we can do tonight. Next project is going to be hanging my red LED light. The eave work from that corner to that corner of the house is 60 feet, roughly. Not exactly, but roughly 60 feet. The 30-foot mark is this point right here. just happened to be. I have 5 strands of these. Each strand is 15 feet long, so in essence I have 75 feet worth of lights. So I took 75, I divided that by 2, and the middle of my lighted strand was obviously the middle of the 3rd strand of lights. 15, 30, 45, half in the middle here, 7.5 feet from the end, is the middle of what I have available in lights. So I'm going to start right at the middle here, pick up the middle of this first strand, and I'm going to go this way. This way I have, basically, I'm going to have the same amount of lights going down this side of the house as I should have, or very close to, down the other side of the house. So I'm talking about thinking ahead of time. I'm going to have the plug in the middle. These are LEDs, so I'm not really concerned with how much I can plug in, but I'm going to do 3 one way and 2 the other way. I found center not only of the house but of the lighted strand. I'm going to start there and work this way, and that way so it's uniform. If I started here in this corner and I went down and I had like 20 feet extra on that side, it would drive me crazy knowing that when I look at my house, the lights stop in this corner but they continue at that end. So I'm going to basically adjust so I have the same amount going down the sides. I usually don't decorate the side of the house, but if I have to, or if I have extra lights, then I want them even on both sides. So that's what I'm going to do. It shouldn't take me long to do this. Let's get them up. Alright, well, we're putting up our Eve lights here, and all I'm doing, I mean, these light bulbs have little hooks on them, but the hooks are too small to do anything, so I've never used them. Here on this house, there's a little bit of a, I don't know, flashing, I don't know what you want to call it. But basically there's just a gap between, and these are 2 pieces of metal, so I'm just pulling this gap open just a little bit and sticking the wire up in there. And it's going pretty quickly. But the cool thing is it's going to look really nice because all the light bulbs are going to basically be facing the same direction. And uniformity is really makes things look so much better. So I think it's going to look good. I'll show you when I'm all done. I want to make a quick note on something that just came up here, and maybe I'm a little more OCD than I thought I actually was. Sounds like the more I talk and hear myself talk, I'm like, God, it's really annoying that I want it the same on both sides and all the lights to face the same direction. But I'm usually not that way, but I guess with Christmas lights I am. But one thing I see a lot of people doing, well, a lot of people that just put up lights do, is the male end of your Christmas lights usually has that extra piece of cord, the leader basically, that for whatever reason they put on at the male end. And I see some people, they'll put up icicle lights or whatever, and then they'll string the leader on, and there'd be a big gap in between the spacing of the bulbs. Or I don't know, the worst is the icicle lights. They'll put, it'll look nice, and then you'll have this like 12-inch gap or 16-inch gap because they just used the leader and they wanted to stretch the icicle lights out further, and it looks horrible. So do me a favor, keep my sanity when you are going to continue your lights. Make sure you don't just pull it, try to keep the somewhat of the same spacing between the last bulb of the strand and the first bulb of the strand to make it almost look like this is not there. I don't necessarily, I'm not a big fan of taping up. A lot of people like to tape up their strands, their ends, their plugs to prevent water from getting in. In my opinion, a piece of electrical tape is not going to keep the water out. What, in my opinion, it'll do is keep the water in. These things are not waterproof. They're not watertight. So keeping them open, in my opinion, lets the air get in and dry it out once they do get wet every single morning, because it's so humid here in Florida anyway. And when it does rain, water's going to get in it regardless if I put tape over it or not. But if I put the tape over it, chances are the water's going to stay in there, and it's going to corrode faster, and it's possibly going to pop breakers, if GFI outlets and things like that. So I like to keep them open and untaped. That's just my personal opinion. I do make sure that they're seated all the way, pushed all the way together, and I try to avoid the female end facing upwards. So, you know, I don't want that to catch water, but I won't tape them up. And plus, the tape makes a mess when you decide to peel it off, and now it's all sticky, and I don't know. That's just my opinion. All right, let's see how good I am. I was left with 13 bulbs on this side. I finished up the other 2 strands that are going to go down the other side, and I'd be pretty, I must say, pretty good if it was 13 bulbs on the other side too. Let's see. Well, I'm not as good as I thought I was. There's 9 bulbs on this side, so hey, that's all right. Can't win them all. But there it is. There's my red Eve. I might put some white icicle lights just in the corners, just on this corner and the far corner over there, not in the middle, or maybe in the middle, I don't know. Haven't made that decision up, but looks pretty sharp. Now some of the light bulbs here, I'll show you. Hopefully you'll be able to see that. Some of them aren't laying exactly the same. It's still a little chilly, and I may say chilly, it's probably 60-something, 68 degrees, so it's not that cold, so probably some of you, but I'm going to let the heat of the day loosen up the wires and see if they'll fall before I start playing around with them. So if I try to push it, it just pops right back up. And I chalk that up to since the wires are colder, the coating or whatever that's made out of, the wire is actually made out of, it's a little stiffer. When they start heating up, they'll loosen up, and hopefully the gravity will take control. The cool thing about putting the lights up this way, just tucking them up under there, is when I get to take them down, I just pull them down, wrap them up, and they're down within. I mean, it's much harder, much more time consuming putting them up than it is taking them down. But that whole doing this took me maybe a half hour at that, so not too bad. I'm going to go ahead and end this video. It's just a quick, short video, but I'm not sure what I'm going to be able to get done tomorrow. Depends on what time I actually get out of work. But I want to make sure you guys tune in this weekend, because we now have Disney tickets, season pass Disney tickets. So we're going to be checking out the Magic Kingdom. It's all decorated for Christmas, and we'll probably be making a number of trips up there this season. So anything I see Christmas-wise, not only the display and getting it up, but anything like that, I'll bring you along. So make sure you like and subscribe, and tune in. More videos to come.